All right, ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing? Wednesday, May the 11th, 2022. Thank you for joining me here tonight for another metallic episode of Music of Destruction. Bringing you the very best in metal-related content right here on YouTube on one of the only metal channels that matters. If you guys missed anything in the past week, the eye will come up right there. Bring down that menu. Every video you need to get caught up on is there. I'd really appreciate it. Remember to subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you know when I post awesome videos like this ranking we're working on tonight. Gonna be great. Hardest working channel in the niche of metal. Brutally honest, controversial, upfront, and opinionated. If you like that, this is the right channel. If you don't, go watch someone who will lie to your face. Welcome to Album Ranking Wednesdays here on the channel. Tonight we're going deep into the underground once again for a ranking of a band that hails from Brazil. Yes, we're getting into some South American death metal with Krisiun, and holy shit, man, I am fucking pumped to talk about this ranking here tonight because Krisiun are absolute extreme metal legends. They started back in 1990 and were part of the second wave of South American death metal, which was led, of course, by extreme acts Sepultura and Sarcofago. And Krisiun took these influences and a lot of others and created a truly incredible brand of extreme death metal that is by no means something any fan of OSDM should overlook at all. They are one of the most prolific and consistent extreme bands in the South American death metal underground and are among the elites of the genre, to say the very least. Now, all three members of the band, Moises, Max, and Alex, are brothers. Alex uses his father's surname, Camargo, whereas his brothers use their mother's surname, Kolsnay. Okay, now of the EP, Unmerciful Order, all three brothers are credited with the surname Kolsnay, which I think is great. Now, the band was a four-piece for a very short period of time before deciding that they worked better as a three-piece after Martirio Nogueira left, forming the trio, which has stayed very consistent to this day. The band's name Krisiun is based upon the Mare Crisium Sea of Crises, a moon crater, and it plays a major role in Arthur C. Clarke's sci-fi movie The Sentinel, which, by the way, is a great film, which was later partly adapted to become the well-known movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. Alright, so let's get into the ranking. Coming in at number 11, Forged in Fury, released in 2015 on Century Media Records. This is kind of a run-by-the-wayside album for Krisiun. I'm not sure what they were going for here. It sounds kind of rushed, doesn't sound very inspired in places. It's not the most terrible death metal album, but it definitely lacks a lot of that emotion and power and conviction of earlier albums. I don't know if this was just contractual obligations that caused them to release this in such a hurried fashion, but it's definitely not one that I find to be too super standout, but it's okay. I'd give it number 11, Forged in Fury. Coming in at number 10, Assassination, released in 2006 on Century Media Records. This is a better album than Forged in Fury, one that I could find myself coming back to, not something I'm really terribly ashamed of not to own. However, I will be getting all of their albums because Krisiun's one of the best bands in the world, in my opinion. Just not as good as other releases, and there are bands who do have less than stellar albums, but this isn't a bad death metal album. Once again, just not one that's very memorable to me, and I wish it was. But Assassination, still a decent record, gets number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have The Great Execution, released in 2011 on Century Media Records. A better album than the aforementioned two that I talked about. This is still a really powerful Krisiun release. There's a lot of brutality and great songwriting here. Lots of good lyricism and darkness to this album. Decent stuff here from Krisiun, and for 2011, after that 2010 hump that a lot of bands went through, they came back with a pretty strong release with The Great Execution. This one gets number 9. Coming in at number 8, the only Krisiun album I own at this moment, Bloodshed, released in 2004 on Century Media Records. Not my favorite Krisiun album, but it kind of sits a little bit in the middle for me. It's a really good album for just a straight up death metal attack, but I do like a lot of their other stuff better. Still bought Bloodshed because I love it. I think it's a great album, and it gets number 8 on my list. Decent stuff. Coming in at number 7, we have Ageless Venomous, released in 2001 on Century Media Records. This is a really good album. There's a lot of great riffs here, a lot of great drum work, bass, vocals, and lyricism, and that dark Krisiun aesthetic that they've always had, the blasphemy, the violence, the aggression, the dominance, the raw hatred that the band's always been famous for, makes its appearance here, and it's very, very powerful. This is a very venomous record, very aggressive, raw and dark stuff here, with Ageless Venomous getting number 7. Coming in at number 6, we have Scourge of the Enthroned, released in 2018, their newest effort on Century Media Records. This is a very, very powerful album for Krisiun. This is a statement that they're coming back. They're returning to form. This is an old school sounding album, back to those early 90s days of Krisiun, or I guess mid 90s, the days of Krisiun in the 90s. And I really love the homage they're paying to their roots with this record. It's very refreshing, but it's also very old school, and they got a lot of advanced musicianship on this album that just screams originality. This is a great album. Scourge of the Enthroned gets number 6. Coming in at number 5, we have Works of Carnage, released in 2003 on Century Media Records. This is a very, very fucking deadly Krisiun album. I love Works of Carnage. It's one of my favorites. I find myself coming back to this album a lot. I really enjoy everything about it. There isn't one song on here that I would change. It's powerful, convicted, raw, aggressive, brutal, and uncompromised. Works of Carnage gets number 5. Coming in at number 4, Southern Storm, released in 2008 on Century Media Records. This is a very deadly Krisiun album. There's a lot of poignant, prolific statements on this album. It's very convicted. It's raw, aggressive, dominant, brutal, and fucking hateful. Some of the best riffs from Krisiun make their appearance here. Great drum work, bass, and production. Once again, that production still being down raw, pretty raw for what it is. This is just one of the most astounding death metal releases. Southern Storm gets number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have Conquerors of Armageddon, released in 2000 on Century Media Records. The third album in Krisiun's discography, making number 3. This is a fucking brilliant masterpiece from Krisiun. One of the best releases of 2000 in my opinion, and when we get to my top 15 metal albums of 2000, you better believe Conquerors of Armageddon will be making the list. Absolutely amazing stuff here from Krisiun. Getting number 3, Conquerors of Armageddon. Coming in at number 2, Apocalyptic Revelation, released in 1998 on Dynamo Records, the sophomore follow-up to Black Forest Domain. This was a very successful follow-up in my eyes. It did everything they promised. Some people thought it was a bit lackluster because it was a bit more straightforward than Conquerors of Armageddon. But again, this is a successful, powerful, sophomore, brutal death metal release from Krisiun. This is a powerful album full of amazing poignancy, controversial subject matter, and very thought-provoking lyrics. Great riffs, drums, bass, production, all that awesome stuff. Krisiun's fucking awesome. This Apocalyptic Revelation gets number 2. Coming in at number 1, Black Forest Domain, released in 1995 on Dynamo Records. The debut from Krisiun. This album has stuck with me for such a very long time, going on almost 30 years now, 27 years, and everything I love about this album stays true today. This is the most amazing Krisiun album I've ever heard, and I've heard their whole discography. I've always had a special place in my heart for Black Forest Domain. It's so fucking raw, aggressive, dark, misanthropic, and evil, man. Like, this is evil sounding South American death metal from these frigging legends, and nothing's better than Krisiun in the South American old school death metal scene other than Sepultura, and of course you have Sarcofago, but they are no longer around. Well, Sarcofago isn't anyway. Sepultura's got, like, not even going to talk about New Sepultura, but anyway, I don't like New Sepultura. Maybe you do, that's fine. But yeah, Black Forest Domain from Krisiun getting number 1. Fucking awesome record. Alright, so there you have it, guys. Another album ranking in the books here on the channel. Hope you enjoyed the premiere. If you're new, subscribe, turn on those notifications. teespring.com/music-of-destruction, but I'm going to have to change the link, so it's in the description there, and bonfire.com/store/music-of-destruction. New merch going up soon. Janelle and I working on stuff. Thank you to her for working on my new green screen set, which is coming out soon as well. Join the channel, become an MOD Elite, get amazing perks, $4.99 per month, review requests, banner interviews and promotions, collaborations, exclusive content, and all that great stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Have an awesome night. We'll see you for Top 15 Thursdays for my top 15 metal albums of 1996. See you in the next video.